Podcast, 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 podcast.
Okay. Woo. Hey there, everybody.
Hey.
This is Ashkahn.
I am Graham.
And, like we do every episode, start you off with our business quote of the day. This one's from Michael Cessna. And he says that there's no business like show business.
All right, today's question is, what's the single metric that guides the direction of your business? Your North Star, so to say.
So to say.
They didn't actually say so to say.
That's editorial license.
Yeah. Artistic
so
license. Something we say. All right, what's our single metric?
Well, the great business philosopher Michael Cessna
Yes.
Yeah.
We totally think about business metrics, and we're very formalized with things like that.
Well, okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have a feeling the answers to this are going to be much more simple than
our normal questions.
I mean,
or our normal answers. I mean,
if you're using just one, or maybe we can say a couple metrics to really guide things, like they're I think the most obvious ones, like income, number of floats. I mean, really those two more than anything. And then you can get more granular into like number of members or income from memberships. But almost like income per float.
And I would say my metric when looking at float on marketing stuff is actually just number of floats run in a month.
Kinda. I mean, I feel like. I mean, I feel like there has to be some consideration for finance in there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's just
assuming we're doing things logically, I guess, and reasonably, and our business is running as normal, then yeah, like number of floats in a month is very important.
And I guess that's what I mean, like practically for us. You know what I mean? Like,
assuming you're not like giving away 100% of your floats for free. And you're making zero money and you're
even if you
about
were
to go out of business.
Like try to do that, I don't think it would be possible. You know, like if you're giving away all your free floats, people are like, "Can I please come in there? Like, is there some way that I could schedule a float? You know, like it's so packed." It's like, no, sorry, you can't even pay to get in on this schedule. But it just has such so that's why I say like in the practical world, I think that's what I'd choose. And there are times when we look at other things for sure, and it's usually when we're making very concrete decisions.
I mean, the two main things we look at are number of floats and income.
Yeah, just income.
Like we're just mostly on a monthly basis. We're just like looking at how much money we're making each month. And compared to previous months and compared to the same month the previous year is often the most useful metric that we tend to find when trying to compare it against ourselves. And we look at number of floats. And like both of those things are the most basic, but also like the most kind of fundamental and important numbers we look at for significance.
Yeah, and then members would be number 3. You know, we do very regular updates on members because in a lot of senses we view them as like our lifeblood.
Yeah, but it gets tricky because, one number of members compared to membership income depends on your membership structure. And so assuming you have all that sort of stuff kind of solid and you're not like doing huge changes to your membership structure, then, I mean, either number of members or income from memberships and total number of floats and total income. I mean, those really just are like the most fundamental. Like it feels silly to be tracking other things more importantly than those, because that's kind of what other things filter into. You know, if you're doing other things well, hopefully it's increasing the number of floats you're doing and the amount of income that you're making.
Yeah. I thought of one other like more philosophical wrench to throw into it too, which is we're really interested in like happiness, I'd almost say, or satisfaction, both from ourselves, the people working the shop, and our customers coming through. So it's like, at least for float on specifically. And I guess, again, we're focusing on one true metric or something like that. So this would not be our one true metric. But if everything else was in line and our memberships are rocking it and our revenue is up and our number of floats is high, but we're only getting one-time visitors and like members who are staying on for the length contractually of their membership, and our staff is really unhappy working there, and like we're not stoked to be running the business we're running, like I'd probably sacrifice some of that revenue and floats to make it a more pleasant place to go into, So, yeah, I guess the idea of the North Star metric is to have something that you look at kind of every day, or one thing that you can watch. And in that sense, it's everything we said earlier. But just know it's a simplification. You don't need to follow that North Star at the sacrifice of everything else. Like just know, like having one metric that kind of gives you a reading of the life of the rest of your business doesn't mean you're trying to raise that at all other costs, I guess was the point I was trying to get at here.
That's true. Or like if that is going well, it means everything's going well.
Exactly. It's more like you can get overwhelmed with data, which is where this idea of KPIs, key performance indicators, comes in. And from there, you can even get overwhelmed with the things that are essential to your business. So you really want one thing you can look at on a day in, day out basis where you're like, okay, at least I know my business is healthy. And that's kind of what we're talking about when we're looking at this kind of North Star metric.
I feel like the concept comes a little bit out of the kind of tech world too, where the context of running a tech business where your customers you don't ever interact with them really personally. They're through this like magical internet thing, and like you have so much data at your disposal, and people are signing up for accounts and leaving accounts, and you don't know who the heck they are, or how long they are, or if they're real people or not, or like, when you're kind of swimming in that sea of numbers and you have so much less tangible stuff at your disposal. I feel like these concepts of like figure out what your really key numbers are and track those becomes a little bit more significant than when you're running a small business in a shop with people that you interact with and staff that you interact with every day and customers you actually get to see coming in and out. Like it's just a little easier in that context to be slightly more touchy-feely or loosey-goosey, or not so hard-nosed reliant on like a single piece of data.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I do think it comes directly out of the tech world. And even though like you can take really useful lessons away from all this stuff, and you can absolutely apply it to brick and mortar businesses, there is also something to just being totally enmeshed in your business. And like even us saying that our key performance indicators are number of floats, like if you're the one running your business, you probably don't even need to be looking at those stats. Like, when your schedule's been lighter this week, when it's heavier.
You have
it's
gut
not like
feelings about these things.
Yeah, no point. Like we've never had a meeting to sit down and be like, what's our North Star metric that we really need to be sure to watch? This stuff comes kind of naturally. So that's the good news.
If anything, I feel like the lesson is don't get too confused and really complicated metrics. Like don't like look into really fancy things or be tracking some like very finite demographic metric and lose sight of the fact that ultimately you're trying to turn that into people floating and people paying money to come float. Like, if you don't see the path from what you're looking at towards those much more basic things, I feel like you're maybe lost a little bit in your numbers. But yeah, I don't know. That's not like a necessary pitfall I see a lot of float center people falling into.
Okay. Anything else on North Star metrics? I think we're good.
Yeah. All right. Great.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
All of you. Yeah. And if you have your own questions, give them to us.
Go to floattanksolutions.com/podcast.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, everyone.